Hello there guys, Mark here. I hope you are well. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to tie a rope mat with a cross shape integrated into the mat. Here you can see the mat that we're going to be making in this tutorial. As you can see, it is a fairly oval-shaped or round mat, so it combines the functionality of a round mat and the symbolism of the cross. Ideally, this would sit on the table under hot dishes, be a decorative piece, or when done with larger cord, it can even serve as a doormat. So it has quite a few applications. Mostly, it's going to sit on the table. To tie this mat, we're going to need some patience and a few supplies which I'm going to describe now. The most important supply for this project is rope. Now the rope that I'm using is hemp rope, a 1/4 inch in diameter. So the diameter of my rope is about 6 millimeters. Now, the length of my rope is 24 feet, so about 7 meters and 20 centimeters. This is enough for a 3-pass version of the mat. For more passes, you're going to need a longer piece of rope. I'm going to reinforce the ends of my rope with a piece of duct tape. So you're going to need some duct tape to secure the two ends and prevent them from fraying or unraveling. You may also want a piece of thread and a needle to stitch your mat at the end. By stitching or lashing your mat, you're going to prevent the two ends from coming undone and ruining the mat. Optionally, you may also want to consider using a couple of pins and a surface into which you can stick your pins into. By pinning your mat while you're tying it, you're going to easily keep its shape and make your tightening a bit easier. And finally, we're going to need a pair of scissors or a knife to cut our rope, duct tape, and thread. Now, let's begin tying our mat. To start tying my mat, I'm going to fold my piece of rope in half. Then, I'm going to place one half facing towards the top. I'm not going to be using this top half. I'm going to start at the middle point and I'm going to pin down the standing end. Like this. Now, I create a loop. Then I create a second loop. Like this. Take your working end and pass under the standing end. Like this. Now, weave through these 4 strands over, under, over, under. like this. Now, using the same working hand, we pass under 2 and over 1. This creates a loop which I'm going to pin down. Using my working hand, I'm now going to pass over my standing hand. So over it. Then I'm going to weave under 2, over 2. So under 2 and over 2. Like this. Now I'm going to create another loop. Like this. And pin it down. Now take your working hand and pass under, over, under, over, under. So under, over, under, over, and finally under, like this. Now take your working hand, come to this loop, pass over, then under, over, under, over, under and over. So over, under, over, under, over, under, and over. This is pretty much our mat. These two loops are the ones at the sides. This is the bottom one, and to create the top one, take your working hand and pass it alongside the standing hand. Like this. And with this you have tied your mat. Now you can see that it needs some adjustment. I'm going to remove the pins. Then I'm going to adjust my mat. I want the top loop, the side loops, and the bottom loop to be symmetrical, just like in my finished product. So this is what I'm aiming for. So to adjust a little bit, I'm just going to try to readjust my strands and the shape of the mat. Like this. Now, to get certain proportions, you're going to need to run the slack through the mat and redistribute it to get a nice shape. So I start at the working end, I pull a little on the top loop, and I start readjusting my mat. You can probably already see that my mat is now a lot more symmetrical. It looks like it should. At this point, I'm going to continue by doubling and tripling it up. Start with your working end and follow the standing end through the mat. So basically we chase the standing end until we run out of the working end. Like this. You can see that we're doubling up the mat. Once you run out of rope in your working end, pick up the standing end and chase the other end. So again, I'm going to use the standing end to follow this strand. So like this. Use up your entire standing end. After tripling up your mat, it is time to finish up the two ends. When you triple up a mat, your two ends should meet up. We're going to work our two ends to a spot where we can hide them on the underside of the mat. For example, in this finished mat, my two ends are hidden here and connected. This way they don't slip out and you can't see them from the top side. So in my case, I'm going to work my two ends to this point. Here, this end is a bit short, so I'm going to work in some slack into that other end. Then we're going to join the two ends together using either a lashing, splicing, or a stitching method. At this point, my two ends meet up at the same location. In a 3-pass version of the mat, we have 4 strands to join. To do this, I'm going to take a piece of thread and a needle. I'm going to run my needle through my 4 strands. Like this. Then I'm going to do a series of wraparounds, running over the 4 strands, then under the 4 strands, and over the top again, and under, and so on. So I'm wrapping around my thread around my 4 strands. Once you have done a series of wraparounds, take your needle and travel to the underside, under one of the strands, and then back up. Like this. Then come over the top, across, and back down. These are so-called frapping turns. Like this. And again up on the left side and down on the right side. On the left side, again travel under the next strand, like this, and again across your strands and back down. Like this, and back up on the left side, and back down on the right side, like this. And again, on the left side, we travel under the 3rd strand, and up, across our strands, and down to the underside, and up on the left side, and down on the right side. On the left side, we're going to go through our last strand to the top, then using our needle we travel through the 4 strands back to the bottom. And once you do this, your lashing is complete. Like this. Finally, we're going to cut the 2 ends . Like this, and our mat is complete. And so guys, this is our mat, the cross rope mat. Thank you for joining me in today's tutorial. I hope I made things clear enough. Thank you and see you next time.